And then, young lady, you have a...
I know he's got his hand up forever.
Oh, sorry. Sorry about that.
Yes. I have a question.
Go ahead.
Yes. Barack Obama's Energy Secretary, Dr. Stephen Chu, is a Nobel Prize winning physicist.
Right.
And he is a very pro-nuclear man.
He is to a certain extent. He's very pro-solar, pro-alternative. He knows the alternatives.
And a lot of pro-nuclear people I know are pro all of those alternatives.
Right. The question is, we do have a certain advantage here. It's not enough to be pro-nuclear. You also have to be in favor of massive subsidies for building new nuclear plants. The nuclear industry, I will claim a little credit here because it's a heartening story. In the summer of 2007, actually, because of some work by anti-nuclear activists in Washington, the New York Times, Matt Wald, ran a story on the front page saying that the wording had been changed on the energy bill, and they had slipped in $50 billion in potential loan guarantees to build new nuclear plants. I'm going to look at him because he's got a camera, if that's okay, because I think that's what he wants. I called Bonnie Raitt, who's an old friend of mine, a wonderful person, and she called Jackson Brown and Graham Nash, and we put together, I've been in the movement a long time, and it takes a long time to get decisions done. And we had a 10-minute conversation in which we decided to do a website, and they did a music video, and we called a press conference in DC. And we hooked up with MoveOn and a lot of other people. We got 120,000 signatures. And we went to DC in October of 2007. We met with Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid, and the congresswoman from Colorado, and Ed Markey, who's been very good on this. And they killed it. They killed $50 billion, took it right out of the energy bill. It was staggering. If they had gotten that $50 billion, we would be in really deep stuff. And then they brought it again in 2008, and we beat them again, and then we beat them again in early 2009. So if Stephen Chu wants to be pro-nuclear, let him be pro-nuclear unless he's willing to write the huge checks. Now, Connie mentioned there is legislation now designed to give these loan guarantees. So if Stephen Chu is going to sign off on these loan guarantees, then we're going to have to really fight him. So,
Yeah, though why I mentioned Nobel Prize winning physicist is this may be an argument from authority, but he seems to know a little bit more about physics.
Well, yeah, but you got to remember that there's physics and then there's physics. I mean, he won his Nobel Prize for some, obviously important, but very, something that doesn't have that much to do with nuclear fission. I mean, I love it when people call me up and on the phone and they ask you what my degrees are. If only nuclear physicists died from radiation emissions from nuclear power plants, we could let them make the decision. But the fact of the matter is that most of these guys have very limited knowledge. Asking a nuclear physicist about the health impacts of nuclear power is like asking the engineer of a train to fix the people he just ran over. I mean, there's a disconnect between the technologies. And so his expertise is in a very specific field of nuclear physics that doesn't necessarily qualify him as an expert on nuclear power. And it's an important distinction to make. Yes, David.
I would just want to add to that he may be an incredible expert on nuclear physics, but is he an expert on construction? Because a lot of the problems with these plants have come from faulty construction. Is he an expert on human behavior? Because poor practices, human mistakes are a cause of a lot of these problems. You would have to be an expert in probably 30 different fields in order to be able to claim that you have the answer on nuclear power and that it was indeed safe.
Is he a financier?
Do you do?
Is he a financial expert? I mean, here's a question for you. The nuclear power industry is guaranteed liability limitations, as I mentioned, from the federal government. Where in the federal government is the cash reserve to cover the financial damage from a major accident at a nuclear plant? Can we begin to calculate the financial costs of a meltdown at Indian Point? that would wipe out, God forbid, 100 square miles or 1,000 square miles, as it did in Chernobyl, of Westchester County and of Manhattan or of New Jersey or, of Long Island. I mean, we are skating on thin ice here. The federal government is liable for every one of these 104 reactors having a major accident. Where's the money to cover that? Who's even making that calculation? It's a staggering gamble to take with no financial reserves. It makes Bernie Madoff look conservative. I mean, it's an insane. What does Stephen Chu have to say about that?